What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Moguls. My name is Findlay-Shirras, and on today's show, we're talking with Dominik Pogorzelski. That's it? Pogorzelski. VP of Product Operations at RestB.ai, a machine learning company that specializes in visual recognition for real estate. So essentially, their AI will auto-tag all your real estate photos for all your agents out there. So let's get excited to do a deep dive into some deep tech, to some emerging tech, to some tech that is going to move this industry forward and solve some really big problems, and how AI and machine learning really is going to change the real estate industry. So thanks, Dominik, for being on the show.
A pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, so for all those who don't know what RestB.ai is, why don't you give them a quick overview of what the company is?
Sure. So I think you summarized it really well. So essentially, we're a computer vision company that specializes in real estate. So what does that mean? Is that we can automatically basically scan images and provide metadata about those images, saying, this image is a kitchen that has white cabinets, granite countertops, stainless steel appliances, a kitchen island, and all that kind of information. So it's able to understand both the content and the context of images, and then provide that information back in a programmatic way to basically all these platforms and different tools that are out there in the real estate industry.
What do you think is the information about properties that's in the pictures that people want to know the most?
What we've been hearing a lot is the look and feel. And the kitchens, for some reason, is the one that always kind of like gets people's attention. Is it white cabinets? Is it a pale-looking kitchen? Is it a renovated kitchen? Is it a fixer-upper? So that kind of emotional attachment that you don't get from reading a textual description or from looking at the specs of a house. That's, I think, where imagery is powerful, and that's kind of what we're trying to play with. How do you digitize that kind of emotional attachment?
Some people watching this would be like, what, the agent doesn't take photos of everything and correctly label and describe everything for the properties on the MLS?
In a perfect world, there are a lot of agents out there that do it. But agents are very busy people. They have a lot of things to do, and it's one of those things that they just either don't have the time or they omit it, or a lot of different reasons. Why most of the images are, they're not tagged, they're not captioned.
Have you guys at the company given agents checklists and training on hey, this is what you should be doing when you list a property, because then it will look better on the MLS, and two, our technology will even work better. What are some of the educational things that you want agents to do more of?
I mean, I think the first basic thing that comes to mind is at least take pictures of all the rooms. We've seen listings that just don't have a picture of a kitchen, for example, which is from a lot of surveys that we've seen, it is the most important house or home space for people that are looking for a house. So if you're listing a house and you have pictures of different things, but you don't have a picture of a kitchen, the odds of getting someone's attention is just that much lower. So
what about how to take the photo? Is there anything to think about in terms of the photo quality, the photo angle, all that stuff, how to take the photo?
Yeah, so I'm not gonna pretend to be a photographer or a specialist in that, but it's mostly about making sure you capture at least as much of the space as you can, right? So wide angle kind of lenses, make sure the lighting is good, make sure that there's no clutter. I mean, it's some of these basic things that we see is that people take pictures and the room is cluttered or the kitchen is cluttered. At least clean it up, try to stage it a little bit, and try to show as much of the space as you can.
Now, for all the people who don't understand how AI and machine learning works, first of all, is it AI? Is it machine learning? Is it both? How does your technology work?
It's a good question. And I think it's something that's often interchanged. So these terms are often interchanged. And the way I kind of look at it is it's different subsets. So artificial intelligence, AI, is kind of the overarching name, right? And then a subset of that is machine learning. So machine learning is a subset of AI, which basically it's a way of teaching computers through experience. So you teach them, if you tell them 100 times, this is what a couch looks like, after a while the computer will know, okay, well, I know what a couch looks like, not because I've seen that exact couch before, but because I've understand the concept and the patterns of what a couch looks like. The same way kind of humans learn, right? And then if you go a layer deeper, then you go into kind of deep learning, which is kind of mimicking the neural networks that humans have in our brains, and kind of having a lot of deep layers of neural networks to train the AI. And then a subset of that is going to be computer vision or image recognition, where it's really kind of teaching the computer to understand images.
Now, I don't think any sane person would expect this technology to be perfect.
Yeah.
How accurate is it?
So it's not a 100% kind of science. There is still room for improvement. We try to play in a space of an accuracy of about 95% plus. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of internal benchmark that we give ourselves before rolling something out. And that's where it gets challenging, because at that level, it gets exponentially harder to get those extra kind of percentage points.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of accuracy that we play. But false positives or mistagging something is it's the nature of the game, and it does happen.
Are there any particular things that your technology still has issues with? Is there a certain part of a house that it has a trouble recognizing, a certain physical thing in a house that has trouble recognizing? Like, are there any specific issues that you still have yet to crack to being able to recognize really well?
I think at this point it's more about the edge cases. Like, we've covered a lot of what is already available in terms of visuals, but you're going to have houses that just have rooms that you've never seen before, or some people have living rooms that are just very eccentric, and then the AI is like, it kind of looks like a living room, but I've never seen bubbles, or I don't know, some of these living rooms that we've seen are just outrageous. So it's really kind of trying to cover more and more of these edge cases.
What are some of the most interesting things that you've seen that your technology's been like, what the heck is this?
I think it was around living rooms, where we've seen it looked like a living room out of Pee Wee Herman. Pee Wee Herman's
Playhouse or whatever?
Playhouse, yeah. It was just like, all right, I guess that's that person's thing, and we're not gonna passing judgment in it.
Yeah.
But there's been some funky living rooms that we've seen.
Okay. Now, on your website, you talk about how your AI generates more organic traffic by boosting SEO. Mm-hmm. And I know agents really care about ranking in the search engines and having their websites rank, and same with these big platforms wanting their websites to rank. How does your AI help boost SEO?
Mm-hmm. It's a good question. So one of the kind of factors in Google's secret sauce behind SEO, or how Google ranks websites, has to do with the images. And behind every single image, you have what's called like an alt text field. And that's where usually you should put the description of the image. And this is what Google's crawlers will look at to understand what's in the image. So if you have all these images tagged, then when people search for, let's say I'm looking for a house with a kitchen and granite countertops in Brooklyn, New York, or whatever, then because those images are tagged, then Google can index those images, and then you can kind of access them. So Google will give you a higher score on your website if you have all your images tagged. So what our AI can do is automatically tag all those images for you.
Okay.
Or provide the tags for those images.
Now, the other thing that I thought was interesting was how AI and this image recognition can increase customer conversion. Like, realtors are trying to convert leads and convert customers who go to their website. How do you think your technology does that?
So it's about making the experience more visual. I think right now we live in a world of Instagram, Tinder, where everything is swipe, visual, image. But in the real estate space, or when you're looking for a house, it's still very textual. You put in your address, the number of bedrooms, the price, and then you kind of have to scroll through images and photo galleries, and it's just a very broken process. So we kind of give the control of the images back to the brokers, the websites. So that if someone says, I'm looking for a house, but I'm interested in seeing what the kitchen looks like, you can add a quick filter and saying, filter these images by kitchen, or even filter by kitchen with granite countertops and white cabinets. And then you can say, oh, I like this kitchen. Can you show me other similar kitchens? And then the AI can actually even pull up and say, well, here are other kitchens that look similar to the one you're interested in. And then you kind of can even extend that and create more kind of a Pinterest for real estate experience. So it's about engaging the users in a more visual way.
Now, the final thing that I thought was interesting was how, and maybe this is not to agents, maybe this is to the MLSs, your technology can create new revenue streams through monetizing with third-party logos. So like you're putting logos of what on the photos that people are now paying for. Where is this happening, or how is this happening?
So this is an issue that we've seen come up more in the European and Asian markets, more so than in North America, where a lot of portals will have images with a watermark from their competitor, for example. And what happens then is basically your competitor is stealing your digital real estate space, right? So up until today, there was no way of detecting which images have a watermark. But we've developed a technology that can very accurately pick this up. And then, so then the portal can say, okay, listen, either I block these images that have watermarks of my competitor, or they can go back and say, listen, we're okay with you pushing these images to our website, but you'll have to pay us a premium to do so, or whatever. So it's start kind of creating new revenue streams there.
Now, how do you guys as a startup make money? Because are agents paying for this, or brokerages paying for this, or associations paying for this, or the website companies paying for this, Zillow paying for this? Like, what does it look like?
So it's a couple of different players. We usually work mostly with companies, so not so much with brokers, but with website creators, with MLSs, with tech vendors, people that develop different tools, whether it's for marketing tools or agent tools. So more the technology providers that then have a base of agents, brokers, or whatever, so that they can then provide that technology down to their agents.
And what does that look like for them? Like how is it priced out?
So we usually work on a license model. So we license out this technology depending on, and then the price differs depending on what level of information they want, what scale they're looking at. Is it only for a particular market? Is it nationwide? And then we kind of price that accordingly to that.
Okay. Is there any people that you can't work with? Is there any type of photos you can't work with? Any type of organizations you can't work with right now? And any jurisdictions, any geographies? Like, is this thing applicable and can be applied anywhere right now, or is there any limitations right now?
As far as I know, we haven't hit any roadblocks so far in terms of jurisdiction or litigation. We oftentimes get the question, what about privacy in terms of the images? So, we just process images and send back metadata. So we're just a provider of derivative information. So we don't store any of the images. It's just more of a process where we get something and we send something back.
Yeah.
So there's we haven't seen many issues with that yet.
Okay. Now, what are the challenges you guys face right now as a company? You've been around for how long?
3.5, going on 4 years.
And at this point in your journey, like, what are the things you guys are battling that maybe someone listening can help you out with?
I think one of the biggest challenges is just the status quo. People don't know what's possible yet. So there's a lot of new ways that the market can new paradigms that we can bring in terms of making things more visual. But it's still a new kind of idea that has to be created, and people have to adopt, accept, and say, okay, things can be done like this. So breaking that status quo is an interesting challenge that we're overcoming right now.
What do you think the future looks like? Before we get into some bigger picture AI machine learning talk, like for you guys, when you look at yourself in a year, 3 years, like what do you see for the future of the company, and how is it going to be different than what it is now?
I think I always see it as different horizons. So right now we're working a lot with helping the process of purchasing a house. So the that phase in the life cycle of home ownership. And I see us moving also closer into the transaction. So working a lot more with with AVMs, automated valuation models, with banks, mortgages, to help them make their predictions of valuations more accurate by providing more structured, accurate data. And then even moving that forward, so going from pre-purchase to purchase to post-purchase, whereby you can go into insurance, and then imagine a world where you just bought a house, and then for insurance, all you do is you take out your phone and you just take a video of your house, and the AI picks up saying, okay, there's there's a artwork here, there's a TV, smart TV, this kind of refrigerator, and it kind of picks up all these items and then sends that over to the insurance company, creates a quote, and kind of with a click of a button you get a quote. So kind of pre-purchase, purchase, post-purchase are the kind of horizons I'm seeing.
And now that you can take photos of things and see how much they cost, if someone's taking images of furniture and stuff, it could be worked into the deal. And say, hey, that thing is worth this, I'll buy this house if it includes all this stuff I actually see, because now the price points are on there.
Absolutely.
That's cool. All right, so let's go big picture now, AI and machine learning. When you think about the impact on real estate, really high level, what are some of the things that you're seeing that it's going to happen?
I think it's all about making the transactions more personalized, customized, and it's going from, giving people the most results to giving people the most relevant results. So, our whole world is going into customizing, on-demand kind of stuff, but the real estate is still very behind on that. Both in terms of, show me what I want to see, show me, what I can afford, show me all these kind of data points that will make that whole process a lot more streamlined, a lot more personalized, a lot more automated. Because right now it's going from deciding to want to buy a house to actually getting your bringing your luggage into that house. That process is extremely convoluted.
How far away are we from AI machine learning valuing a home better than an agent? Which for all you agents out there, I think is a good thing. Like, that's not the core of your job. You may think it is, but it's really not their job. Let technology do it for you, but it's not there yet. So agents still are much better at valuing homes right now. How far are we?
I think not too far, and I think, as you said, it's more about empowering the agents and giving them that efficiency. Because agents have a better feel and sense of the market, and they have the experience, the knowledge, but what they lack is breadth of information. And AI can instead of looking at 20 comparables, AI can look at 300 comparables or 1,000 comparables and say, okay, well, historically, this is what the valuations have been, and like looking at your whole market, and you can kind of really expand that pool of information that you're tapping into to get that valuation. So I think,
is it 1 year? Is it 3 years? 5 years?
I think it's 3 to 5 years. It's already. I mean, people are already working on it now. It's already happening. Zillow has a Zestimate, which is they're improving year over year. So I wouldn't be surprised if it'll be 3 to 5 years.
Very cool. Now let's talk about the competition that's in your marketplace and big picture. Like, so one, competitors who are doing what you do. And also, like, what does it look like in terms of the AI and machine learning companies for real estate? Like, what does that whole competitive landscape look like?
I think for now it's still prop tech in general is a booming kind of industry. AI is obviously a hot topic inside of that. In terms of computer vision, I'd say that we're the main, if not the only, pure player in this space that does what we do. There are some companies that have a bit of flavor of computer vision in some of their products, but it's just very kind of ancillary. It's a side thing. Whereas this is what we do day in, day out. We focus on this, on building and kind of improving that, for the next foreseeable future. So that space we're definitely very interestingly positioned in this space, and that's kind of one of the reasons why we did this. We said, okay, we're planting our flag in real estate, computer vision. Like that's our thing. You have obviously the big players, the Googles and the Amazons of the world that have computer vision technology, and obviously it's good technology, but they're generalists. They're going to come in, look at an image, and say, oh, white, red, couch, chair, plant, vase, and it's like, all right, it's all true, it's accurate, but how valuable is that information for the purpose of real estate? It's not intent driven. So that's kind of how we position is we control the context of real estate, and make a very intent-driven approach to computer vision.
Now, in order for you guys to do that, you obviously are just the recipient of the data that you get, and that is a really big discussion in the industry. That the data quality is not so good, the uniformity is not so good. How is that? Like, what do you see? Do you see, because you're handling the data? Have you seen major improvements in it, or is it still not that good? And what are you looking for from the industry and the associations and RESO to try to make it easier for you guys to do your job and help the industry?
I think it's definitely a big challenge in the industry is how do you standardize all this stuff? There's so many sources of input into this, pool of data that we have as an industry that, there's a lot of different ways of saying something, right? And I think RESO is doing a great job at pushing those standards forward, and with the data dictionary, they're really trying to put some order to this chaos, which I think is great.
Is it getting better?
It's getting better, definitely. I mean,
noticeably.
I mean, it's a very big endeavor to take on. So it's taking the time that it takes, but it's moving and it's moving in the right direction. So they just released, I think, their latest data dictionary 1.7. Which has been a great improvement to the previous data dictionary, which was 1.6, if I'm not mistaken. So that is, and more MLSs are starting to adopt that technology to get certified through RESO. So it is going to take a lot of time to put that kind of order to this chaos, but it is moving in the right direction.
And is that going to move faster than the 3 to 5 years for the AI and machine learning, or is it going to take longer?
I think it's because of what they're trying to do. I think it'll probably be a bit of a stronger challenge.
Longer?
Yeah.
Now, lots of startups out here want to learn how to grow a startup and how to get into this space. And you guys have built a great product quickly. Mm-hmm. What are some of the things that you know that you guys have done that maybe you see other companies not do that have helped you build a really good product quickly?
Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot has to do with, boots on the ground, talking to people. We started off, I was flying out to different conferences in real estate, just talking to people and seeing, what's interesting for them. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, you have to figure out a problem and see how you can fix that problem. And talk to people to see, what exactly needs to be done based on their feedback and not based on your own assumptions. And this is, kind of lean startup 101 methodology, which is don't make assumptions and then run with those assumptions all the way. It's like make some assumptions with some hypotheses that you want to test out, and then go to the market, talk to people, and get that feedback as early on as possible to then be able to iterate, pivot, or fine-tune your product to really hit that mark.
Are there any frameworks or ways that you guys go about building out your product that you use, that you follow? So lean startup methodologies, is there anything else that you guys do as a company?
I mean, that's always been kind of my main kind of direction is, lean startup. And I think that's the biggest one that I've always kind of leaned against, pun intended, to see how you can get that product market fit as early as possible.
What does your product team look like? How many people?
So right now we're 17 people in the company. And it's about broken down half and half between business and tech.
And how has that evolved over time? So the last 4 years, how's that team gone up and down, or has it just gone up, or how has it changed?
It's gone up. I think we ramped up pretty quickly about a year and a half ago. And now we've been able to run what we need to run in a pretty lean way with the resources that we have. So right now we're at a good spot where we have a good data science team, machine learning team, DevOps team, and business team to kind of get to where we want to get to where we want to be in the next year or two, and then see how we want to expand.
Did you guys raise money?
We raised a seed round with investors both in Europe and in the US.
And are you guys cash flow positive as a startup, or are you burning through the capital you raised and you're raising again soon?
Right now we're at kind of the break even going into cash flow positive point. Yep. So it's a really exciting kind of time where you're starting to see that that kind of flip in the cash flow.
Okay. How often do you guys push out new features or new iterations?
I think almost on a monthly basis.
Yeah.
There's so many different features and applications, and it's always customer driven. So we work on a lot of different projects with customers that we also then kind of scale out to a larger market. But yeah, I'd say on a monthly basis.
What are the things that are on your roadmap that you want to build, that you're building out?
So right now we're definitely looking to expand more into what we have now. So we have a good foundation that a lot of people are seeing value in already, and it's about expanding those or diving even deeper into those models. So seeing what people want to, or more pieces of information that people want to get out of images, in terms of more features of a house or conditions of a house. So right now we have a model that determines the condition of a kitchen or a bathroom. Well, we've been getting a lot of requests for, can you also look at the condition of the exterior of the house, the landscape, that kind of stuff. So there's definitely some room to expand into that, as well as we recently launched a very interesting similarities engine. So where the AI can kind of say, okay, this is what an image looks like. Here are other similar looking images. So kind of have the experience where someone says, I like this kitchen. Can you show me other similar kitchens? And then the AI can kind of pick up those visual cues and return back this kind of, like I said, the Pinterest of real estate. So
now, do you guys work on these projects all at the same time, or do you have to prioritize which ones to do first?
You got to prioritize.
And how do you do that?
It's mostly customer driven right now. So we do kind of have, and that's a lot of where the product and the management team has to work on is, we have a roadmap that we kind of set out, 3 to 6 months out, rough ideas of where we want to go. But being in a startup, things change quickly. You're going to have a customer that comes in, unexpectedly and says, hey, I want this specific little tweak or whatever, and then you gotta work on that. So there's definitely, it is very market driven, the prioritization. Is
there anything that you won't do? Is there any requests you've had from people where you're like, no, we won't get into that?
There have been cases where someone would ask for a very particular request that is just not scalable for, to other markets, and that they're not willing to invest in. And then we can say, well, listen, like there's just not, the ROI is not there for us to build this out. Like we have a whole pipeline of things we need to build out that come from customers. So unless people are really willing to invest in a specific particularity, then sometimes you have to say no.
So then you ask the customer if they really want it. Can you participate in the investment in us building that out?
Yeah, if they're really eager about it, then we say, okay, well, listen, if you're willing to put the skin in the game and put some money for it, we can try to reprioritize things. But otherwise, we have to kind of go where the market wants us to go.
So who are your customers now that use your tech?
So right now we definitely have a big presence both in the European and US markets. So in European, we pretty much are working with the major portals in countries like, or the biggest portals in countries like Spain and Germany. And then in the US, we're working both with, MRED is one of the MLSs, FBS, which is another kind of MLS vendor, companies like RealPage, VHT. So it's a different slew of portfolio, but MLSs, tech vendors, website providers. So it's kind of a lot of different interests from different players.
Cool. How can people get in touch with you if they want to reach out and get to learn more and maybe use it?
Yeah, so you can visit us at RestB.ai or shoot me an email at Dominik with a K at RestB.ai.
Cool. Hey man, thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure.
Help people get to know your startup. And as always, if you guys want to get to know the other startups and the other technologies that are helping the industry move forward, then subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube show because I interview a lot of them and there's some really cool stuff coming down the pipe and you need to be updated so you can stay great in real estate. See you next time.